Hi, my name is Darla Cook, and this is my book report on The World is Flat, A Brief History of the 21st Century by Thomas Friedman. I read this book. I thought it was kind of interesting, where Friedman reflects on his journeys throughout the world and talks about how all the technology that has been created over the last decade or a little longer than that has flattened the world. And what that means is that it has taken it from being able to operate or being able to work from here to somebody from India, that now it's actually an even playing field, that our technology and the globalization has actually leveled that playing field, that we're able to take that playing field and work with somebody from India or China easily and more effectively than we've ever been able to do so before. We discussed 10 flatteners, or he discussed 10 flatteners in his book, of what those meant and what those big things were of the 10 flatteners. And one of the things that I understood about it, or one of the things that it meant to me, was that with those 10 flatteners, that it became very clear very quickly that things were going to be changing. And one of the 10 flatteners was the Berlin Wall. And when the Berlin Wall fell, it opened up resources between the East and the West. And it gave more free market from the world. Netscape and the development of Netscape was another big deal, where you were able to take a PC platform, an internet base, to being able to do things in a web browser, which was very unusual for the time period that it was developed in the mid-90s. Workflow software, and after Netscape, it allowed people to connect, that they wanted to do things and to be able to make things and have a standard protocol that they could operate back and forth. Open sourcing was the fourth one that he discussed, and that made source codes available to online to people and not just companies. Outsourcing, with Y2K and the computers coming to the year 2000, and there needed to be a lot of extra programming done, and what that did was push the United States to utilize India and China, and saw that these folks were able to prepare and do things cost effectively for them and very quickly, because they needed to, once they discovered it, they needed to do it very quickly. Offshoring. When China joined the World Trade Organization, they created a world where everyone has to run faster. And one of the things that the American companies noticed, that with the value of the cheaper labor and efficiency and the lower taxes, that they were able to do that and bring the product to the United States quicker. Supply chains, collaborating horizontally between suppliers, and Walmart's a really good example of that, and the suppliers that they use, and going back and back and back to those folks and making them drop their prices so that we're going to be consuming more of those products and goods. And if they bring in their environmental efforts that they've promised currently, which is not a part of the book, but it should be a good thing, I guess. Insourcing, and insourcing is like Toshiba utilizing UPS to fix their repair their computers. UPS picks it up, takes it to their shop, they repair it, and send it back to the consumer. I didn't even realize that was happening until I'd actually read the book. So, that insourcing thing could be a really cool thing. Informing, equalizing the resources of Google and Yahoo and MSN allowed people from all over to access information, and it's formed a big global community that we never even imagined. And then there were the steroids, the digitals and the mobile phones, and how that's even created an even more level playing field. within the world, actually. You know, there was not one of the other things that he brought up in this, that there were 3 other things that were little things that he called them little dirty secrets, that not enough Americans are going into science and engineering fields because of all this, and that's sad. Parents need to be encouraging kids to get involved in science and technology and developing those things instead of being the total consumer. We're suffering from a lack of ambition, basically, of being able to have things handed to a next generation and not getting off and doing some stuff and being innovators. The baby boomers were the last innovators. This next 2 generations or 3 generations are not going to be that. There's an education gap forming between the U.S. and China and India. Their parents push those kids to do things and do things better, and even their governments. Ours don't even do that, and that's sad. I just think that there's reading this book over and understanding where he's coming from a journalistic standpoint. I think that once the globe is flattened, individual corporations and individuals who have social responsibility, they're going to be the ones who's making that decision on what's going to be preferred. And I just think that bringing it all together, the solutions that he brought aren't new. The innovations aren't any new, but it's just bringing things to light in a very easy read. What's lacking is that it's all American-based. I would have liked to see more examples of how other communities or other nations, not communities, are responding to this flattening. Are they seeing this as an opportunity to consume more and to be more like Americans, or having? And is that creating a more greater distance between the haves and the have-nots? And I think that's true. But if we don't take some social responsibility or some environmental responsibility with that and push that, he even said in the book by the year 2012, China is going to be creating so much, using so much energy that we're going to have to find another Saudi Arabia to perform what they're doing, and the pollutants and everything else that they're doing as they're becoming more global is going to be hurting them and their people and the world. I think that, all in all, the book was a really good read. I would like to read one of his other subsequent books because I think he left a lot outstanding in creating these other work environments from these other countries, that he's actually creating things that they're not doing, that our government has proposed, to saying that this is not fair. Sweat lodges or sweat rooms where they're locking women in or men in to create these small or these jobs for the big corporations, and not doing other things that are fair to them, and bringing up those wages and giving them that. They're creating a big difference between the haves and the have-nots. So all in all, I think it was a good book. I would recommend it to others, and I look forward to reading some of the other things that Friedman has to write about. Thanks.